Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. This is the Winrad Broadcasting Service, and I am Walter Hartley, bringing you the evening news on this Saturday, March the 28th, 2026. We are now in the 29th day of the war with Iran, and tonight the war has widened. For the first time since the fighting began, Yemen has entered this conflict. The Houthi rebels, backed by Tehran, have launched a ballistic missile at Israel from Yemeni soil. 10 American soldiers lie wounded tonight in Saudi Arabia. A man is dead in Tel Aviv from an Iranian missile that struck in the small hours of the morning. And the President of the United States has called the North Atlantic Treaty Organization a paper tiger. We have much to tell you. We go first to our Washington correspondent, Edward James Whitmore. Edward, what is the word from the Capitol?
From Washington tonight, Walter, the word is frustration. The president spoke at a business conference today and turned his fire not on Iran, but on his own allies. He said he is very disappointed with NATO's response to the war, calling the alliance a paper tiger. He has been pressing European and Asian nations to contribute warships, aircraft, and support to the effort in the Gulf. And by his own account, the answer has been something close to silence. The 10-day extension on strikes against Iran's energy infrastructure remains in effect until April the 6th. Envoy Steve Witkoff said he thinks meetings with Iran will happen this week, though nothing has been confirmed. Pakistan's Prime Minister Sharif held a one-hour telephone call with Iranian President Pezeshkian today, continuing Islamabad's role as the primary go-between. But the diplomatic picture remains what it has been for days. The Americans say talks are going well, and the Iranians say there are no talks at all.
Edward, what about the attack on American forces in Saudi Arabia?
Walter, this is a serious development. At least 10 American service members were wounded in an Iranian attack on Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. No one was killed, but at least 2 soldiers suffered shrapnel wounds. A refueling tanker aircraft was also damaged. This is one of the most significant direct Iranian strikes on American forces in the war to date. The Pentagon has not issued a formal statement on the attack as of this broadcast, but 2 officials confirmed the details to CNN. The total number of American service members wounded in this conflict now stands well above 300. And Walter, I should note one more thing from Capitol Hill. The Conservative Political Action Conference is meeting this weekend in Texas, and the war is splitting the room. There are sharp disagreements among the president's own supporters about whether this conflict should continue. Some speakers have called for total victory. Others have questioned the cost and asked what the exit looks like. It is a rare thing to see the president's coalition arguing with itself in public, and it tells you something about the mood in the country. The latest Pew Research poll, released earlier this week, found that 59% of Americans say the decision to use military force in Iran was wrong. That number is not moving in the president's direction.
Thank you, Edward. We take you now overseas to our foreign affairs correspondent, Theodore Charles Bennett. Theodore, what is the picture from the battlefield tonight?
Walter, the war has grown. Late today, Yemen's Houthi rebels confirmed that they had launched a ballistic missile at Israel, targeting what they described as Israeli military sites in the southern occupied West Bank. The Israeli military said it detected the launch and was working to intercept it. This is the first Houthi attack on Israel since the war with Iran began on February the 28th, and it marks a significant expansion of the conflict. The Houthis are backed by Iran and have previously attacked shipping in the Red Sea and launched strikes against Israel during the earlier Gaza conflict. Their entry into this war opens yet another front. And Walter, I should say a word about what the Houthi entry means in practical terms. This group spent more than a year attacking commercial shipping in the Red Sea during the Gaza conflict, firing drones and missiles at cargo vessels in one of the most important trade routes on Earth. The American Navy spent billions trying to stop them and never fully succeeded. If the Houthis now begin sustained attacks on Israel from the south while Iran strikes from the east and Hezbollah from the north, the Israelis will face a 3-front missile war unlike anything they have confronted before. The geometry of this conflict just changed. On the ground in Iran, the devastation continues to mount. The Iranian Red Crescent reported today that more than 92,600 civilian structures have been damaged across the country since the bombing began. 92,600 homes, shops, schools, offices. More than 1,900 people have been killed in Iran. 20,000 have been injured. U.S. and Israeli strikes continued today across Iranian cities, and Iran struck back. Missiles hit several locations in the Tel Aviv district overnight, killing 1 person and causing significant damage to buildings and vehicles in multiple impact sites.
Theodore, what is the wider picture tonight?
Walter, the wider picture is a war that is pulling more of the world into its orbit every day. In Lebanon, 1,142 people have been killed and more than 3,300 wounded since March the 2nd. Israel continues to strike Beirut's southern suburbs and southern Lebanon. In the Gulf, Iran fired missiles and drones at Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. The strait remains effectively closed, with the Revolutionary Guard turning back ships and now drafting legislation to impose permanent tolls on all transit. Saudi Arabia, unable to export through the strait, has begun rerouting its oil through the Yanbu pipeline on its western Red Sea coast, capable of handling 7 million barrels a day. Australia announced new fuel security measures today to protect its supply. And at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Texas, the American right is openly divided over the war, with sharp disagreements on display among the president's own supporters. And an Iranian source, quoted by the state-affiliated Tasnim agency, issued a warning tonight that should give pause to anyone following this conflict. The source said that if American forces attempt to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by force, they should be careful not to add another strait to their challenges, and that Iran is fully prepared to escalate. And one final item from across the world tonight. Australia announced new fuel security measures today to protect its domestic supply as the war continues to disrupt global energy markets. Canberra is the latest government to take emergency steps. The Philippines declared a national energy emergency earlier this week. Japan is releasing its largest ever strategic oil reserves. South Korea is rationing electricity. And tonight, Saudi Arabia is rerouting millions of barrels of oil through the Yanbu pipeline on the Red Sea coast because it can no longer ship through its own front door in the Gulf. The economic architecture of the world's energy supply is being redrawn in real time, Walter, and no one knows yet what it will look like when the drawing is done.
Theodore, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, 29 days. A new front from Yemen. 10 Americans wounded in Saudi Arabia. A man dead in Tel Aviv. 92,600 structures damaged in Iran. The president calls NATO a paper tiger, and Iran warns that any attempt to force the strait open will be met with escalation. Tomorrow, this war enters its 5th week. We began this broadcast 4 weeks ago reporting on an airstrike. Tonight, we are reporting on a war that stretches from Yemen to the Persian Gulf, to Lebanon, to the Mediterranean, and whose consequences reach from Manila to Canberra to the gas pump on your corner. Hold them close tonight. This is Walter Hartley for the Winrad Broadcasting Service. And now, a word from our friends at the Gradio Vintage Wireless Company. In uncertain times, there is comfort in a voice you trust coming through a speaker built to last. The Gradio Vintage Bluetooth radio brings you the warmth of golden age design with all the clarity of modern sound. Handsome walnut cabinet, rich, full tone. Connects to your telephone or any wireless device. Visit Gradio through the link in our description. The Gradio Vintage Wireless. Built for the voice, built for the age. And now, from the home front, here is Dorothy Wilson.
Well, good evening, ladies. Sit down with me for just a minute. I know it has been a long week. I know it has. So tonight, I want to give you something warm and easy that the whole family will love. And that comes together in about 25 minutes. I call it skillet macaroni with tomatoes and cheese, and my children would eat it 7 nights a week if I let them. Here is what you need. 1/2 pound of elbow macaroni. That is about 2 cups dry, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 small onion, diced fine, 1 can of diced tomatoes, the 14-ounce size, 1 cup of water, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a pinch of pepper, and about 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, or whatever cheese you have, honestly. It all works. Now, melt your butter in a deep skillet over medium heat. Cook the onion until it is soft, about 3 minutes. Add the macaroni right into the skillet, dry, just as it comes from the box. Stir it around for a minute so it toasts just a little in the butter. Oh, that smell. Now pour in your can of tomatoes with all the juice and the cup of water. Stir it up, bring it to a boil, then put the lid on and turn the heat down to low. Let it cook for about 12 minutes, stirring once or twice so it does not stick. When the noodles are tender and have soaked up most of the liquid, take it off the heat and stir in the cheese until it melts through everything. That is it. That is the whole thing. 1 skillet, 1 pot to wash, 4 people fed for about $3. The children will ask for seconds. And you know what? Let them. There is enough. Good night, and God bless.